I'm Mark Baer. You're watching the YourTown television program. I'm with Carleton Macy, composer. Welcome.
Hi, Mark. Nice to be here.
So I heard a couple weeks ago at All Saints Episcopal Church in Carmel, June 25th, 2024, a concert of your new work on their beautiful Steinway piano in there.
Yes.
Which was the music sounds
100-year-old.
100-year-old. It sounds absolutely beautiful in that room, and they were playing new work of Carleton Macy.
And some old standards. It was a pleasure to be on a program with Brahms and Chopin.
Yeah, you look good. You look good. So let's just start with the easy ones. Why do you compose?
Why do I compose? I think I have to compose. It's part of my life, part of me. I've always thought I did a lot of things in life, but everyone meets me and says, "God, you're a music geek." Everything you do comes out musical. Listening to some rhythms going on, and I hear music going on. I compose because I like to compose. It's fun. It's very satisfying to get something done. And often the piece you're writing is always the best piece you've ever written. But then after it's written, okay, next piece.
This is the best piece you've ever written.
Next piece is going to be the best piece. It's very satisfying intellectually and emotionally.
And do you compose on the piano? How do you compose?
I start at the piano, and I continue at the piano, and I finish it at the piano. And now, along the way, I throw it into the computer. Because we have a computer.
Yeah.
At first, when the computer was there, I started using the computer and realized within a year that I had to cut that off, because suddenly I was doing what the computer could do.
Yeah.
There's still a little bit of that. I mean, especially when I put tempos on things. And I say, this is the tempo it ought to go at. Well, that sounds great on the computer. And immediately the reaction is, I'll hold back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me tell you about something. But less and less of that.
So let's just, for the audience, let's just fill in your general background. How did this all start?
Oh, well, it started because I was a music geek in high school. I never ate lunch at the cafeteria. I went straight to the practice room and practiced my trumpet. Ate a sack lunch and practiced my trumpet. My classmates kind of forgot who I was for a couple of years. However, now I'm the class organizer for the reunions.
And you went to school here.
Our 80th birthday reunion's coming up very soon. Yes, I'm a Carmel High School graduate.
Yeah, so you've gone to the world and you've come back.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't see all the world.
But,
a lot of it, though.
But you've had
lived in Ethiopia for 2 years, and lived in Seattle for 6 years for graduate school, and 35 years in Minnesota. And the winter drove me away.
Yeah,
or California called me back, and it ended up being here.
So, how did you actually get to be a composer?
It's a very interesting process. I went to undergraduate school as a music major at a school of music, University of Redlands, a very small private arts, and a small kind of conservatory. It was a school of music, so I got a Bachelor of Music. But I did it with education in mind. I was going to be a teacher. Who's my mentor? My high school band teacher. So I was going to become a high school teacher. I went into Peace Corps after that and came back, and I was still going to become a teacher. And I went to an interview at a big school district that had 4 high school band director positions open. And this is exactly what I trained for, high school band. I sat in the parking lot for 20 minutes thinking, and then turned the car on and drove straight out to Redlands, and went and saw my next mentor there, Rudy Picardi, a conductor and a great musician and done a lot for me. I said, Rudy, how do I become Zubin Mehta? I don't want to become a high school teacher because I don't know what I'm teaching yet. And he said, oh, yeah. You do it the Italian way. You go for 6 years and you study counterpoint and ear training and composition. And after you've figured out what music's about, you study conducting for 1 year. So I studied composition and didn't turn back.
That's great.
I stopped at the composition.
So if you wouldn't have left the parking lot the first time, turned the key back on, you could still be there.
Oh, I'd be retired by now, yes, but I could still be there in the high school band director's room.
So when you compose, where do you begin? How do you begin a new piece?
I begin with who.
Okay.
Always.
Yeah.
Who am I writing for? Not
Okay.
what instruments am I writing for, but who, and then what instruments does that person have? And on this program, John Jensen,
Yeah,
pianist.
who is an amazing
Yes.
pianist. So let's talk about him for 1 second.
Okay.
Because he was really something.
He is something.
So how did you kind of fall in
We
with him?
chased each other around. Actually, I first met him through a recording tape. This would have been 1973 or 4. And a friend of mine at Cal State Fullerton had him over to his house. He started teaching at Cal State Fullerton in 1972. I left in 1972 to the University of Washington. And he was over at this friend's house, and the friend pulled out a piece of mine that hadn't been played on my graduate recital, and said, John, hey, would you like to play this? And put it in front of him on the piano. And he said, I'll have tape rolling. And so John starts looking at the piano piece, I guess, sitting at the piano, says, okay, Carleton, here's your piece. And he plays this piece of mine. I said, oh. and Chuck Estes sent me the tape. And so I met John Jensen, but I haven't met him yet.
Wow.
And then he moved to Grinnell, Iowa, as part of the Miracourt Trio, the piano trio. Grinnell College actually boldly hired a piano trio as 3 out of the 6 faculty members in this liberal arts college music department. And John was the pianist in there, and also led a jazz band there. And eventually, 15 years later, they got rid of him at Grinnell, and he moved to St. Paul. And he gets to St. Paul and meets Don Betts, a rather well-known pianist there at the time, who was my mentor at Macalester College. Meeting Don Betts, looks on the faculty roster and sees Carleton Macy. I know Carleton Macy. So he looks me up. And since then, we've been good friends, and I've been writing music for him for 30 years.
Wow.
And he actually this time said, Carleton, you've never dedicated a piece to me. I don't dedicate many pieces to many people. But you'll notice on the upper left-hand corner, I usually write, here's another JJ. That's my dedication.
Yeah.
They were written for him. He finally found that out.
Yeah, well, he was kind of an eye-opener for me.
He was. He did many things in his life. He was a drag racer for a while.
That's wild.
That wasn't drag dressing. It was
cars.
hot cars.
Hot
Yes.
cars, yeah.
And he said he was a fantastic pianist, and all around town he's known as the person who could sight read anything.
Wow. Well, anyway, he was something. And then on this program, aerial songs. So you
Yes.
wrote for voice.
Yes.
So let's talk about writing for voice, because that's a different skill.
It is a much different skill. It's hard to find the words. It's getting the right words that you can adjust, you can relate to. In this case, for Ariel songs, I had another soprano that I knew I was writing for. I knew her voice, very similar to Jody Lee's, except bigger, stronger. I'd say more of, Jody Lee's a real soprano, and the Laura that I wrote it for first is more of a mezzo, so a little bit thicker voice, but they're both thick voices. And I love going to Shakespeare because when he says, here's a song, he means it. It's a text, but it's a song. So usually it's not sung in the plays.
Right.
But
and you made it, and you brought it to life.
Sure.
So
others have too. I mean, there are plenty of Shakespeare songs. I think they're being done tonight at the Presbyterian Church. One of the opening of the Bach Festival.
Oh, wow.
They're doing Shakespeare and music.
Oh, wow.
They don't have any of mine on there.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, I know.
So I started hearing your music when you said it's dance. When I'm hearing music, I'm seeing
right.
dance.
Yeah.
You're supposed to, the music has to dance.
Yeah. I don't see dance.
So let's talk about what the music itself has to dance.
Music is dance.
Yes, okay.
I mean, I see dance when many of performers, namely Cindy Wu for one, when she starts to play music, she's dancing. She can't stop dancing the whole time. And it doesn't matter what the piece is. Is it a happy piece? Is it fiddle music? Is it something extremely lyrical and sad? You know, as a violinist, you get to move your body, but any player, we saw the clarinet player at the Emerging Composers Institute. She was dancing with her clarinet. Now, you can't move that very much, but the whole rest of the body is dancing. Because if you start moving it, away goes the embouchure and away goes the sound. Same with trumpet players. But there's no reason they can't move. Jazz musicians dance pretty good. But music as dance, I think of it this way anyway. It is a dance. So when I look at my own music and write it, I'm thinking in terms of how it might dance. In fact, before I had the computer, and still, I used to air pieces. I'd get through them, and I'd have 30 pages or 20 or 13 pages laid out on a big, long table. I'd go up at night to some classroom where there are just lots of tables. I'd lay them all out, and I'd start at the beginning, and I'd dance my way through the piece while singing, airing it, singing it. Who knows exactly what the pitches are, but I know what they should be, but... So I'm dancing it.
And if it doesn't dance, it's gone?
No, if it doesn't dance, something went wrong.
Ah.
I mean, it's the kineticness, which I find extremely important in music, that if it's not kinetic, if it doesn't go from one place to the next place to the next place logically, there's no reason for it to be there.
Wow. And that's your test?
That's my cut. That's the way I do it.
So,
and I hope people get that.
Now, do you play yourself? Do you perform your music or no?
I have one piece of mine I'll perform. It's a piece for solo alto recorder. And another duo for two alto recorders that I wrote recently for Igor Poklad. Now I'm a recorder player.
There you go.
Yeah. I used to be a French horn player. I played honky-tonk jazz, swing, early jazz, drums. I'm a set player too.
So,
but I haven't played that for 10 years.
And what are you listening to? So,
what
are you listening to?
Right now, I'm listening to my music most of the time.
Yeah, because you're working on it.
Because I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I listen to anything.
Yeah.
I love ethnic musics, music from different places. For 25 years, I was a performer and conductor of the Minnesota Chinese Music Ensemble.
Oh, wow.
And I conducted from scores in cipher. Cipher is numbers. The parts, one, do, re, mi, sol, la, do. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. And with dots on the end of the note to say if it's a dotted note, a dot above it if it's an octave higher. And I was reading 6, 7-line scores
Oh, wow.
and conducting.
Wow.
So I got to dance.
That's something.
But I didn't really want to conduct. I wanted to play the Chinese instruments.
I'm going to bring us back to the emerging composers
Yes.
intensive, because at Hidden Valley, where we've been seeing young composers from around the world and hearing the brand new music,
Yeah.
and you've been in the audience again the last 3 years with
Yeah.
me. What are you hearing? What surprised you? What joys you? What's your overall take on this?
I'm hearing the final product, of course. That's I haven't taken advantage of going on the first day, the read through, which would be fascinating. But
Yeah.
I'm not really teaching anyone anymore. But I'm hearing kind of new ways of doing things. I listened for any textures and things like that. This time I heard that there's an awful lot going on of the fluttering in the backgrounds as accompaniment type figures now in the strings that I haven't been as aware of. It's really kind of caught on. You know exactly what I mean. You have the violin doing something, the cello's got a bass line, and the viola and second fiddle are going. It's kind of an interesting technique. So what am I hearing? As a composer, I'm saying, that's interesting. Ooh, I like that. Each of those things, because they all have good voices, individual voices, and they're coming up with individual things. You know, it's almost a little boring when the piece doesn't have anything somewhat new.
You got to want to steal. You're.
No, I'm not a stealer. I'm a borrower.
Yeah, you're a borrower. In other words, you don't leave any fingerprints.
No, I give them credit.
No, I don't.
I'm quite a borrower. I cite things. I have rewritten pieces.
Yeah.
I've written a piece for on music of Dufay, Dulce Dama, and 3 movements, each a different movement by Dufay, and then I've reconstructed it into a Perrault ensemble setting with a singer.
It's really exciting to hear hear the new, and it's pretty ageless. And you've been doing this forever, and it's every day that you sit down in the composing room, you're beginning again.
Yeah, always. Yeah.
You know, that part never is.
Yeah, even if it's a redoing of a beginning. I'm in the middle of making those colors, the color pieces,
Right.
into a piano trio, which I realize I don't have in my repertoire. I have no piano trio.
Yet.
Cindy asked for it.
Yeah.
She must know my repertoire.
So, well, anyway, I'm Mark Baer. I'm with Carleton Macy. This is great.
It is.